Let's talk about the hidden war that's probably happening inside your house right now. It's a constant, relentless battle between your home's most vital systems and an enemy that, honestly, never rests. So let's figure out what this enemy really is.
So what is this powerful, invisible adversary we're talking about? You might think it's just old age, or maybe you forgot to do some maintenance. And yeah, those things definitely play a part. But the real culprit, the main villain in this whole story, is something way, way bigger.
That's right, the weather. For anyone living in a place like Minneapolis, the single biggest enemy to your home's comfort and its safety is the climate itself. It is absolutely brutal on your heating and cooling systems, and today we're going to break down exactly how it wages that war.
To really understand this fight, you first have to understand the battlefield. The Minneapolis climate isn't just a little tough, it's a place of shocking extremes that pushes every single piece of equipment to its absolute breaking point.
Okay, let's start with winter. We're not just talking about being a bit chilly. The design temperature for the area is a staggering -16 degrees Fahrenheit. When it gets that cold for weeks at a time, your furnace is forced to run non-stop, putting an unbelievable strain on every single component inside. And then, just a few months later, boom, the script completely flips. You're dealing with these muggy, sweltering summers where the heat index can soar past 100 degrees. Now, it's your air conditioner's turn to work overtime, fighting a constant battle against both the heat and that intense humidity.
But here's the real kicker. It's not just the extremes, it's how fast things change. During the spring and fall, it's totally normal to see temperature swings of 40 degrees in a single day. Think about that. That forces your system to constantly slam back and forth between heating and cooling.
So here's the bottom line. This isn't just about one tough season. It's the year-round, relentless cycle of extreme cold, extreme heat, and those whiplash temperature swings that put your entire HVAC system under immense, accelerated stress. And that kind of stress, well, it has consequences.
Which brings us to the aftermath. When your home systems get pushed this hard day in and day out, they eventually break. So let's look at the 4 most common ways that the climate pretty much wins this war in a Minneapolis home.
Yep, these are the 4 horsemen of HVAC failure in a climate of extremes. We're talking about your furnace quitting in the dead of winter, your AC freezing up into a block of ice, dangerous cracks forming inside your system, and even the brain of the whole operation just going haywire.
First on the list, ignition failure. Remember that non-stop operation during those -16-degree cold snaps? Well, that massive stress causes critical parts, like the hot surface igniter, to literally crack from the strain, shutting your furnace down and leaving you with absolutely no heat.
Next up, the classic summer nightmare, frozen AC coils. That intense Minneapolis humidity is the main bad guy here. If your airflow gets just a little bit restricted, maybe from a dirty filter, all that moisture in the air freezes onto the evaporator coil, creating a solid block of ice that completely stops any cool air from coming through.
Okay, this next one is really serious. All those wild temperature swings we talked about year after year cause metal fatigue. This can lead to actual cracks in the heat exchanger, which is a major safety hazard. Why? Because it can let dangerous combustion gases, including carbon monoxide, leak right into the air you breathe.
And finally, you'd think the control center would be safe, right? Nope. That constant back and forth between heating and cooling wears out the thermostat and its wiring. This can cause all sorts of frustrating problems, from crazy temperature swings to the whole system just refusing to turn on at all.
So, when one of these things inevitably happens, you're faced with that tough decision: repair or replace. It can be super confusing and obviously expensive, but there's a simple guideline that can really help you cut through the noise. It's called the $5,000 rule. It's just a quick little bit of math to help you figure things out. You simply take the age of your system in years and multiply it by the estimated cost of the repair. If that final number is more than $5,000, replacement is probably the smarter financial move in the long run. Let's walk through a quick example to make it crystal clear. Let's say your furnace is 12 years old and it needs a $500 repair. You just multiply 12 by 500 and you get $6,000. Since that's over the $5,000 line, the rule suggests it's probably time to start looking at a new unit instead of pouring more money into an old one.
Okay, so you found the problem. Maybe you've even used the $5,000 rule to make a decision. Now you have to call for help. So what should you actually expect when a professional technician shows up at your door?
A really good service process should be simple and totally transparent. It all starts with your call. That leads to a technician doing a thorough diagnosis to find the real root cause. And then they give you a fixed price for the repair. And only after you approve that cost does the final step begin. They do the repair and test the whole system.
And this really gets to the core promise of any good professional service: transparency. You should know the full cost before the work begins. Upfront pricing means no ticking clock of hourly rates and absolutely no surprise charges on the final bill. Period.
And that brings us right back to where we started, that ongoing war between your home and the weather. Knowing the enemy, understanding the weak spots, and having a plan for when things go wrong, that's your absolute best defense. The seasons are going to keep changing, and the battle will definitely continue. The only real question is, are you ready for it?